Welcome to the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek.
Hi, welcome to today's episode of the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek. The Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek delivers a look into the world of manufacturing with a focus on stories and trends that can lead you to better solutions. Our guests share tips and outcomes that will help improve your productivity. My name is Dave McKenna. I'm practice leader of Smart Packaging Solutions at Grantek, with a focus right now on label verification, package scanning systems to make sure the right product is in the right package. And we integrate also with code daters and do code date verification campaigns as well. Today, I'm joined by Neha Sharma, also of Grantek. Neha is a product manager at Grantek. She has over 10 years experience in defining technology solutions to solve business and IT problems for manufacturers. Over the years, Neha has worked across various positions such as software developer, module lead, Techno-Functional consultant, which I'm going to have to ask her what that one is. It's above me, and manufacturing engineer. Neha has worked for world-class clients across the globe. Neha has experience in the automotive industry, packaging industry, agricultural industry, building materials, food and beverage, and pharmaceuticals. And Neha, thank you for joining me on
Yeah.
the show.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for that great introduction. Excited to be here. Looking forward to this broadcast. And I heard that this is one of the best broadcasts on Industry 4.0 in North America. So all hands up. Yeah,
Well,
good to
thank
be
you,
here.
thank you. Definitely the best podcast. Definitely the best Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek that's available as a
Yep.
podcast. Yes, one of one.
Yep.
So before we kind of go into some more questions about industry and background and the future and Industry 4.0 and the what sort of trends you see. Just curious to get your story. How did you get into manufacturing? What's your career background? What's your career story?
Yeah, I think so. There's very interesting story to this, Steve. So I got recruited into one of multinational companies back in India. I got extensive 6 months training and then 1 year of experience in mobile app development. I was happily doing that part. That one day my roommate said, "Hey, I'm working in a manufacturing world, and our client has a global footprint, and there is a spot in the project which we are looking to hire someone, and here's a great deal coming into the project that you get a chance to go on various facilities for that client. You get to see how things are getting manufactured." I think that kick of how things are getting manufactured landed me here in the manufacturing world. I gave interview, I got selected, and then I never looked back. I'm still curious about how and why, and that has kept me even today.
Awesome. Yeah, the real
Yeah.
world, something I personally can agree with this. The real
Yes.
world element of it, seeing things get made, real stuff happening. Was the mobile app? What was the mobile app?
Yeah.
What what
At that
industry? What
time,
what was it? What kind of
the Windows phones were a thing. So I was working on the Windows mobile application development and Android application developments too. It is one of the clients in US, I think.
okay.
The app was basically an auditing app where they were auditing the manufacturing facilities.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there
Yeah.
was a manufacturing connection in app development.
There was, yeah.
Awesome.
So I was like, okay, let's see, before developing something, let's see how things get manufactured.
And then the chance to kind of go on site, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really the magical moment of it. It's awesome. Good
It's
story.
really, I'm still having goosebumps. Like I went to Indian manufacturing site and I was like so scared that nothing will fall on me. And that was like I was a kid that time. I would say I just started my career, and then you are into such huge site. Everyone is taking so much care of compliance and everything, and you safety, and definitely, yeah. So I was like a bit scared as well, but then I was like, wow, let's do this. Let's do this forever.
So I've heard. I'm just one or two more questions. So you started your career. You were in India. You were in Indian manufacturing sites. You've
Yep,
been to North American manufacturing sites. Just what's the kind of, and I'm gonna say there's a variety, and it probably depends on the
yep,
company
yep, yep.
in both continents, kind of thing. But what was some of the differences, and Would you see any stories or anecdotes that stand out from two different continents of manufacturing?
I think the A1 is the operators or labor perspective. Here, what I have encountered in North America is that people spend their lives. When you go to shop floor, you will see the line operator or the production operator, and he will say, "Hey, I'm here." And it's been like 40 years, 30 years I'm here.
Right.
But that trend you don't get to see that back in India. The labor time is quite short. Like you can't see people dedicating their lifetime to one job. I think switching between job is one thing you have seen.
Mm,
That's why back in India you have to educate people more on processes and different things compared to North America.
just such way higher turnover that you're
Yes,
not,
it is.
and that's a I've seen. I mean, I've been to cream cheese plants, and it's what do they have? It was like Spirit of '67 was a line or something. People said because there was half the plant had been hired in that one year or
Mhm.
something like that, and then they were all still there. So then there's this giant cliff of there's all this knowledge, but then there's a cliff of retirements that kind of come at once. But okay, interesting.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, interesting piece. If we things we don't necessarily think. I mean, we think turnover is high, but probably next level. You're saying
Yep.
in India. Question from an AI. So we'd like to. What is full of holes but still holds water? Can you solve the artificially intelligent riddle? Full of
So
holes
full of holes and still
but still holds water. I have a better one than the AI. I just came up with a better answer.
my daughter's toy is like that. It still has holes and hold water. A bucket. I would say something spongy.
A sponge is the correct. That's what the AI came up with. I think a more clever answer would be my ideas. You know, lots of holes in them.
Yeah.
They're still they still hold water. You know,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
This or maybe this
yeah, that's
podcast
great.
itself. The podcast, there's definitely some
Yeah,
holes in this podcast, but it'll hold water. Yeah, they're not.
yeah,
So I'm gonna say humanity won on that one. You cracked the riddle, and I came up with one that was better than it. Uh,
yeah.
so first question we like to ask a lot
Agree.
of people: what does Industry 4.0 mean to you?
Okay, so I think Industry 4.0 is all about automation, how different machines are interacted and interacted with each others, how different machines are connected with each others, and they can send and receive data. And I think the essence of Industry 4.0 is data driven processes as well. You have data in beginning of something, you have data in middle of your process, and that at the end of the process, and then you can really make those smart decisions with that available data. You can do the predictive analytics over it and use it like for any purpose. And the most beautiful thing, along with some add-ons from Internet of Things and machine learning and all that things, the tech things that coming into is how beautifully everything is integrated,
Hmm.
along with some manual interventions from operators and everything.
I like the answer. The not something we've heard. I've heard the data piece, and the data one is pretty
Yep.
common piece among guests. But I think the one I'm hearing recognizing today that I haven't heard as much is
Mhm.
interconnecting different pieces of equipment. It's one thing to pull data store previous guests, and I think a lot of the thinking is okay, I can pull data off this machine and then that machine can run better. That's
Yeah.
a pretty common story, but to pull data from a machine or just to connect machines better so they kind of work better with each other, that's one I haven't heard as much. And I think that's probably a big win. There's a big advantage in connecting different components of a line, different
Definitely.
components in a process, kind of adjusting for each other. Good answer. Not one we've heard that piece, and bringing the operator back into it too, because I think that's an
Yep.
understated thing, right? This is to make, yeah, we want to improve productivity, but realistically, are we going to get rid of that many more operators at this point? Because probably not in
No,
most places. The
no,
easy, yeah, the easy ones to get rid of are gone. At least in many places, not everywhere.
yeah.
There's still people palletizing and
Only the
putting
essential ones are there.
right in many places. Or in anyone who's actually on caring about Industry 4.0 or at the point to care of it. So yeah, let's
Yep.
connect those operators and let's connect those machines. I love it. Great answer.
Yep.
Uh, do you have any kind of so tying on to that, we're connecting machines, we're pulling data.
Mhm.
Do you have any case studies, or what's a moment where you've seen that shine or be successful, or yeah, any kind of example that you can share with our guest?
Oh, yes, definitely. So I have worked a lot with manufacturing execution systems, I would say.
Okay.
So that system doesn't work independently. We get the data from the SAP. Like the SAP has all the work orders and inventories which plant holds. We get that data into our system. We load that data. We utilize that data to run the processes by operators. For example, they start the order, they do the maintenance, they pull up the machines and all those things, and then they send these data back to the SAP system. So now SAP doesn't have to wait for like weekly or monthly reports to get data back. Now they know day to day things happening at the plant level, and they have all the data access in both the systems now. I think that's the magic, right?
Hmm.
Everyone knows what's happening and why and where.
So for those who don't know, maybe you can give a brief definition of manufacturing execution system. Well, I think you kind of did when you said SAP and work orders, but maybe just to give a little bit more background for someone who potentially hasn't heard of it.
Yep,
What
yep.
does
Oh,
it mean?
definitely. So manufacturing execution systems are the systems that connects the plant floor, that is PLCs or the machines, uh, to the SAP level. That this is the middle level between the plant floor and then the SAP kind of things. We have this system which helps to integrate these other two systems. Then we have production orders running, inventory maintenance, all those kind of things in there.
So
Do you think I should redo
bringing all
this?
the structures and sorry, bringing all the structures and data that are in SAP, the schedule that you have, your inventory, your production
Yep,
results, and then connecting that to actual plant floor to get the
yep,
people making the right stuff, doing the right things at the right time, and data, timely data, to your point, timely data, not a week later, not a day later,
yep,
real time information in ERP. And ERP is not, it's an interesting question because all these companies already have a system. I mean, everybody's got an
yep.
ERP system, right? They've already
Right.
got these big giant systems that can handle all this data, that are built to accept it, have it, and presumably there is someone doing financial stuff off of the things in SAP.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone doing long-term forecasting, planning of production orders
Yep.
and volumes and so on. They already have these systems. It's odd. I don't hear, and maybe I'm just in the wrong spots. A lot of the industry 4.0 talk, I don't hear mention of
Mm-hmm.
ERP integration that much. It's more data, and it's you do your industry 4.0,
Yep.
you collect all this data and you put it in your new industry 4.0 thing, cloud data
Yes.
warehouse thingy, analysis, AI, chatbot, whatever it is, machine,
Yep.
you push your data into this new box and then it does these wonderful things. But what about the old system that you've already had and is already set up and finance looks at, and
Yep.
it's already been there for 10
Yep.
years and
You
it's
need
ready to
to
go?
close that circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. You need to connect everything and close that circle.
That's an odd one, because that seems like now there's stuff it's too bulky and hard to put into ERP. There's things ERP isn't built to handle potentially, but that's yeah, that's an odd one that we don't. Do you have any guess? Am I wrong or am I right or am I wrong? Are people Is there a renewed focus with Industry 4.0 to connect up ERP, or it's kind of the same as always, but there's some new wacky zany side
There was
systems?
no, there was, yeah. there was especially new focused around this, like all the suits and all the tools we have for industry 4.0 are now giving a flexibility. Okay, this system will now connect to the ERP system as well,
Mm,
because what's happening before this era is most of the things were relied on paperworks. Operators used to send those reports and everything to the ERP, and then someone from the ERP teams read those reports, or the ERP system itself will read those reports and get data into the system. But now, since with the few clicks your system knows, okay, I'm done, this much is the quantity I have consumed, this much I have produced, this is the black flush inventory which was not taken care, I think, before this era. So all those inventories goes directly into the SAP without any human intervention, without any human error, and then we get the solid results at end of the, like, maybe each run or each day.
okay, so you're seeing increased ERP,
Yep.
and that's a good thing, I think, because again, it is such a heavily used system. I know companies struggle with the weight of ERP and the cost and the flexibility, but the inflexibility, because it's just add another two zeros to a project when you have to do something with ERP on it,
Yep.
if not three. Um, an interesting case. So what do you see as being hard with this? We talked about increased ERP integration, increased MES system,
Yep.
increased Industry 4.0, and it's a good time in the industry. What's some of the challenges that you see coming up over the next 5 years?
I think the biggest challenge, which is not for the manufacturing or industry standards, but we have seen our day-to-day life is as well. For example, if I got a gadget today, I will feel like after 3 months it's already outdated, right?
Mm,
There is a better and more updated version already available in the market already. So I think the biggest challenge gonna be integrating that latest technology into the system, into the existing systems, with a cost effective strategy or planning.
so just rapid change, new products,
Yeah.
ever evolving. Things are accelerating the pace that they're evolving at. And how compatible is that? I can speak to, I know companies like Ignition are heavily committed to backwards compatibility. Uh, I've
Yep.
seen
Yep.
I've seen some, and generally manufacturing is decent at that. We have seen some not bad examples, but examples where, at least with all the chip shortage stuff and COVID and some of that, a
Yeah.
series of hardware vendors had to completely change architectures or significantly update architectures kind of at once. And I personally saw Rockwell and Cognex kind of having to do some significant
Yeah.
changes probably earlier than they wanted to, which then
Mm-hmm.
had some compatibility concerned. But there's that moment, I guess that's an interesting
Drawbacks.
point. If things are evolving faster and faster, there's always that moment where the vendors got to break from the old and start with the new because things have just changed too much. And and are we going to see
Definitely.
more of that and more frequent cycles of that than ever before? I think so. I think so.
I think so, yeah. For example, if there is any site who has like updated its all tech 100% this year, there may be a chance that down 2 or 4 years, there are more solid systems with AI driven data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, and their all processes has to be updated. That's another discussion, right? So now they will start feeling outdated suddenly, though they had like generation's
Mhm.
best equipments already installed and integrated.
Well, that's an interesting idea, and that's not one I've heard or thought
Yeah.
about. Are we on the cusp of? And I was at a leadership conference last week, PEO
Mm-hmm.
leadership in Canada, and there was a panel. There was discussions of AI. The feeling was AI is, in the statement from experts and experts in business, I'll say, not just AI people. It's significant change. This is
Mm-hmm.
going to drive significant change, but still kind of early to see where exactly and how and how it all boils out. To your point,
Yep.
this is a good one. This is not one we've heard or brought up
Mm-hmm.
before. If you are modernizing or updating, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be stuck with obsolete or super hard equipment to maintain. There's business risk to come from that. But are we on the verge of something big happening because of AI,
I
and
Yep.
AI being
Yep.
like a massive change? This is a once every
Yep.
5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 40 year. I don't know. Pick a bigger number. 20 year is. Are we
Yeah.
are we in a
Right.
final answer? Sold. Are we in the middle of a once in a 20 year change in business and productivity and technology and just how we do business? Is AI a
Yep.
once in a 20-year thing? So you know what? If you were going to do a bunch of updates, maybe you should wait. Maybe you should wait that 1 or 2 years
Hmm.
and then let the
Right.
dust settle on AI and see what thing you really need to buy and how you're going to use it, or maybe you're not. But if you are, then you're ready and you can just you haven't sort of spent your money and done something and then hey, yeah, we really needed this different thing because we're not AI
Yeah,
ready.
that's smart.
Interesting
Hmm.
piece, because I think it is a bit early in many places
Yeah, it is. It is. It will
yeah.
take some time still in research. Yeah.
So in research,
But
there's
I was
still
just giving examples. Yeah.
a lot in finding the business case. I mean, people are writing emails with it, which is a glorious and wonderful
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how else and where?
Right.
Interesting. That's one to think about. Do you hold back because it's not quite figured out yet where to use it, and then boom, keep your money, keep your powder dry, or do you update so you're ready to drop it in? Like if nothing's networked and nothing is.
Hmm.
Interesting choice for manufacturers and companies. What about,
Yep.
I guess let's say we are in the future. We have figured out those use cases. We're ready to go.
Hmm.
What do you think that does for operators and plant managers? Like what are they? I like those two job descriptions. I like those two roles because we have the leader, we have the strategy for the plant, we have the
Yep.
competitive advantage in the
Yep.
plant with the plant manager, and then we have the people who
Yep.
actually do stuff that makes any of this go, which is the operator. What do you see for them
Yep.
coming out of
Yep.
this?
So, Dave, whenever we implement the system, I think the system solves a different purpose for all the actors linked to the manufacturing. It solves different purpose for the operator than the supervisor or than the leadership team, right?
Right.
For operators, I think it's morely focused on day-to-day activities. They just want to run their daily work piece of work, and that's it. As I told you that I have been to sites where operators are doing manual things and they are very comfortable doing it. I myself have provided trainings to like multiple sites where I have to educate the operators that this system we are implementing is for them. This will help them to avoid errors. This will help them to be a bit more robust, and eventually it will make their life easy. But mm, there is a hesitancy from them, since they don't want to give up the traditional way of doing things. And so I think the most challenging thing is to make operator understand, educate, and train on the system. Whereas compared to plant supervisors, they already kind of, they are educated people, they already see a value in the system, so it's easy for them to get used to what the system is capable of doing. They are more concerned about the compliance kind of things, that all the personnel, all the machines, everything is compliant, updated, and also they need, I think, reports. They need some data, weekly, monthly, or yearly, to facilitate their facility in a better way. They need the predictive maintenance kind of analysis, where they can predict the maintenance, they can have the maintenance done so that they can avoid the downtime. They want to keep their inventory updated, so they want those reports so that there is nothing on hold, or the plant doesn't go down because of that reason. So these are small things I think they are more curious about, other than starting and ending the run, doing the packagings and everything.
All right. So operators, classical change management challenges
Yep.
to your point, getting them on
Yep.
board, getting them to adopt, getting them to see value. And you really address that on your projects with personal engagement and selling it to
Yep.
the operator, which I think is a good point. On the
I
on
think that's
the
most crucial part. Yeah, if don't sell something to operator, it will not be a successful implementation because they are the one, um, they are the actors who gonna make system live and useful. They are gonna one who gonna work on it.
Yeah, and I can echo that with a recent story. We had a startup of a inspection system on some lines,
Yeah.
and and some bumps on this, and some new different kinds
Mm-hmm.
of packaging which we didn't get to see up front, but because of when they were doing changeovers, but then kind of came in later, and then inspection system had some challenges with the it needed to be retuned with the varying packaging. So normal kind of commissioning stuff to work through, but real concern
Yeah.
from our program, the client program champion, that you got to get this right,
Mm-hmm.
or your time window is already, in their mind, this is already in, and now it's not running
Mm-hmm.
well, and the operators is seeing that. And his point, his words to me were, if you once you lose them, you're done.
Yep.
If you put something
Yeah.
in, and it's, and yeah, you got to work through installing it, and I think you got to be clear on, we're not done installing this because we haven't seen all the variations of product. But if you are working through that, in his mind, you lose them, you're done, and then you can't get them back. So they're the most
Mm-hmm.
unforgiving customer. Is not, that's an interesting, I don't know if you agree with that or not. The most unforgiving customer is not the plant manager, that higher up person who gets paid, I don't know, 10x or whatever amount more, whatever it is. Maybe I'm completely guessing there, but it's not that high end, high responsibility person who runs a place with 400 people. It's the operator on the plant floor that's going to be the least
It is.
forgiving of anything
It
going
is
wrong.
definitely. Yeah.
Whereas on the leadership side, to your point, it's, you see reporting, you see visibility to understanding what's actually going on, and then
Yeah.
recommendation, visibility and recommendation. What should
Right.
we do? Hey, we should fix this
Yep.
earlier. We're starting to get low on this film or these trays, inventory issues. um, Helping, guiding them, making decisions. Or, okay, interesting,
Yeah.
good points to see there. um, what where do you see us in the transition from, actually, let me back up, let me ask a different one. What's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
question that you'd like to see answered from another guest? What's an industry 4.0 thought, question, problem that you'd like to hear from
Yeah.
someone else?
Yeah. So I have many challenges whenever I work on a project, and I have those challenges written up. And always, I will always think, what will a expert or a person maybe 10 or 15 years more experience than me will do in such scenarios. So I'm very eager to hear like most challenging situation or solution they have got into while delivering an industry 4.0 solution, and how did they overcome it.
Okay, what's sort of most challenging, what's the most challenging problem or
Yes.
situation you've been in, and kind of how did you
Yep.
overcome it? That's a great one. That's a great,
Yep.
here where someone has stretched, where a guest is, or a guest, yeah, a guest on the show has been stretched, or challenged, and what was it? What did they do? And that's an
Mhm.
interesting one. I'm not gonna let that go. You would like to imagine someone with 10 more years experience. What would they ask? Is that what you just said? Is that how you
Yeah,
would
I
work
always
through?
do that. I always do that. Like, what will be their perspective? Will they be caring about these small things, or a better or good business decisions at this moment? How will they handle this situation? Uh, the impacts this situation can put any other like different fields. So I do want to channelize this like
Hmm,
situations in this way, I think. Yeah.
that's interesting, because it's on the surface of that. I hear that, and I'm like, well, how do you do that? You can't, because you have your years of experience. You're not, Neha is
Yep.
not a
Yep.
new grad or anything. Neha has lots of experience, so
Hmm. Hmm.
or how much experience, just for guests? How long have you been working in manufacturing? And
11 years.
okay, 11 years. So Neha is not year
Yep.
one imagining a 10-year person doing something, but how do you
Yep.
imagine? and then I'll go answer my own question. How do you imagine? Because you did it
Yep.
already. But how do you imagine someone with 10 more years experience? Because you don't have 10 more years experience, but you brought up I do it by
Yes.
thinking what is the bigger picture? What is do these smaller items really matter? What are we so it's more of a slowing to think like a more experienced person. You're slowing down and you're being more abstract and you're taking the bigger, longer view. Is that well, that's one element of it
Yeah.
perhaps.
It's
Am I
Yeah, it's not
summarizing
just the
correct?
abstract thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just the abstract thinking, Dave. I'm the person who believes in communication a lot,
Mm,
and then I may reach out to person who is more experienced than me and get his thoughts about the situation or problem. And I also ask them if they have seen some similar kind of things and how they have encountered that. So I think that has been my USP, like going to the people who have more experience than me with no ego hurt or no
100%.
sense of degradation, just going to the upper level and, hey, how will you do this? Hey, have you ever seen this situation? And just be more friendly and be
Yep.
more like open to communication. I think that has really added a great value in my professional career as well, and that has also encouraged a really strong team building too.
And that's part of being a great leader is you don't you can ask other people for help. You recognize when you need to and you go do it. You don't have to feel like you're
Yeah.
the smartest person in the room that has the answer when you know you're not and you can recognize when you're
Yeah.
not. And I'll do the same,
Right.
but I'll call Neha for information when I need it. We work closely together. So sometimes it's me calling
Yeah.
her and she's in that role of having the knowledge and I'm dropping my ego in there. But it's already quite below the garbage can for myself right now. But yeah, I can ask for it as well. No, good, interesting thought. Um, yeah, interesting way of looking at challenging problems and how to approach them. Imagine what would a more senior person do? What would somebody with more experience do? Um, one question. So that's we got your question for our next guest. I'm going to ask you a question from a previous guest. So where
Mhm.
are we at?
Okay.
Where are we at in the transition to Industry 4.0? What percentage of sites are there? What is the tech that will be developed to get it to Industry 5.0? We're already taking. Why don't we just go straight to 11? But that's a Spinal Tap
Yeah.
bad joke there. But
Right.
I probably got to get new cultural references at some point. But let's just stick with 5. So how do we? What percentage is at 4? How are we doing? And what is the futuristic things that will get us to 5? What do you think?
Okay, if I address the percentage first, I think we are somewhere between 60 to 70% where the sites are covered with Industry 4.0 with some kind of implementation, but we still have so many areas to cover. Like maybe a site has already just one aspect of Industry 4.0 covered with like production app or system.
Mm,
They still have to take care of their packaging aspect. They still have to figure out their shipping or receiving processes. So that's one thing. There's, I think, huge space to cover even today. And then what was the next question?
what is 5?
The Industry
What
5
gets
tech.
us to 5.0?
um
Any
I
guess?
how I yeah, how I am imagining Industry 5 is robots working on the shop floor and taking care of major stuff. Though I'm not huge fan of robots, I still want operators. I'm that mindset that for a harmonious mankind to flourish and run, we need more and more job opportunities for everyone. So I do believe that, but Industry 5 to me is more robots into shop floor, and then also some techs which are already under research and development, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all those stuff.
I mean, I'm connecting a few dots. Massive robotization, if that's hopefully the correct
Yeah.
pronunciation of it. Robotization combined with AI and learning. I mean, imagine the Tesla had some new robot, which I only saw a few pictures of it, but
Right.
humanoid type thing. Your humanoid robot walks into your plant. This, if I can can I make my 5.0 prediction? I'm going to make
Oh
a
yeah.
prediction. It's my show, so I get to do it. So
Yeah,
5.0
yeah, yeah,
prediction.
definitely.
I'm taking your ideas. Robotization. Your humanoid robot walks into the plant, and then it goes and
Uh-huh.
stands next to an operator, and the operator points and gestures and shows them how to do whatever, and then boom, robot has learned it. It's
Oh,
been
wow.
trained, and it knows how to reload the cartoner, and it knows how to do this and that, and then kaboom, it does that job now. And somebody sits around because something new is going to happen that it's not going to know what to do, how to handle or what to do on it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if you could train an AI to do things with natural language today, can you train, and you can train things with vision and images, but can you in the future, maybe you can train a robot just by it watching someone do something in the field, and then away you go, and it can walk and lift, and they can already do that kind of thing. So that would be an interesting one. If you just, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
hiring an employee. Adopting a new robot is like hiring and onboarding an employee, except you only
Right.
have to do it once, because that robot's not going to quit on you.
Yep.
Ooh. As long as
Yep.
you renew your licensing, there's going to be a
Then,
licensing
then
fee.
there will be another yeah, there will be another market, Dave. You have to do the maintenance for the robot, licensing for the robot. So
Licensing, yeah.
that will emerge like, yeah,
That's
another
why you're going to
lot
fire your
business.
robots, because the licensing doesn't work out. So you have to call the robot in and
Right.
fire it, and then you bring in a different robot. And well, that would be
Agree.
maybe one day. That's our future. Who knows? Do you think the
Yeah.
robots will be fine? Now we're getting deep here. If we're going 2 levels deep, of the robot onboarding the robot onboarding the other robot, and then robots firing. You could get
Oh my
robots to
gosh.
fire the robot there, and then automate HR
I
on it.
can't even, my mind, my
We'll just
mind, my
we'll
mind
just
can't even imagine this.
yeah. We'll just be, eating grapes under a fan or something on a couch reclining. That's
Oh yeah.
humanity's future. Well, thank you very
Right.
much, Neha, for coming on the show. Lots of interesting
Mhm.
ideas, interesting thoughts, and a few laughs as well. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Dave. I had great time. I have been working with you. It's been more than a year, so it's always pleasure to be around you, working around you. And then today it was great opportunity to share a stage with you. So yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Neha. And again, great working with you as well. And thanks to everyone listening. We would love to hear from you as well. Please follow Grantek on LinkedIn to stay up to date with everything we are doing. Subscribe to the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek, wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions, feedback, or thoughts on Industry 4.0 or anything, automation otherwise, please email info@grantech.com and join us next time on the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek.